All right, so welcome to Miracle Work today. Great that you're here, that you join, whether it's in the middle of the night, whether it's early in the morning, whether it's not so early in the morning, and whether you are at work, whether you're at home, wherever you find yourself. It really does not matter. So it's a beautiful moment to say come to Miracle Work to actually hear something that's going to be and that is so incredibly helpful. And why not listen to it for just a moment? Because there's a lot. There's a lot today too. There's a lot in every chapter of the Urtext. There's a lot of, say, guidance, support, comfort, and all this that is being revered to. And so today too, it's like the voice for God, where it's revered to. And listening, like, okay, yeah, that's the voice of God, but listening to it and actually follow the guidance that it gives. Those are three different things. They can work at the same time. So we're going to the level of deep honesty today, and not to perform perfect spiritual behavior, but actually to wait, I'm gonna let someone in. Oops, that's my face again. Whoa. That's crazy. Yeah, there we go. Hi Lloyd, welcome. So great that you're here. So like I said, we continue with the voice for God. And this is chapter 5, Healing and Wholeness. And a great chapter with a lot of this, like really where this is about, where the practice, the spiritual practice is about, listening to the voice, following directions. It's like, yeah, following directions, actually listen to what it says instead of going the other way, for instance. Not that you have so much choice, but you will see. So today there's a lot of support and instruction that helps you to a place of comfort and peace that you're always looking for anyway. So here's actually something that's going to help you with that. Now, the miracle work, yeah, we go through the chapters. I don't literally do the whole chapter or the whole section. So I take parts out of it that came to me to share, and this is how I do that. So yeah, let's continue with that. Let's open that up. And but actually first I would love to start with also a reminder, like, oh yeah, how did this go again with the nothing I see means anything kind of practice, like our little mind training book, like the 20-minute book. I'm going to read like 7 review lessons, just up to I see only the past. Just as a reminder, like, oh yeah, wait a minute, nothing I see means anything. Here it is. Nothing I see means anything. The reason this is so is that I see nothing, and nothing has no meaning. Yeah, that makes sense. It is necessary that I recognize this, that I may learn to see. What I think I see now is taking the place. Wait a minute. What I think I see now is taking the place of vision. I must let it go by realizing it has no meaning, so that vision may take its place. I've given what I see all the meaning it has for me. I've judged everything I look upon, and it is this and only this I see. And this is not vision. It is merely an illusion of reality, because my judgments have been made quite apart from reality. I am willing to recognize the lack of validity in my judgments because I want to see. My judgments have hurt me, and I do not want to see according to them. I do not understand anything I see. How Could I understand what I see when I've judged it amiss? What I see is the projection of my own errors of thought. I do not understand what I see because it is not understandable. There is no sense in trying to understand it, but there is every reason to let it go and make room for what can be seen and understood and loved. I can exchange what I see now for this merely by being willing to do so. Is not this a better choice than the one I made before? These thoughts do not mean anything. The thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything because I am trying to think without God. What I call my thoughts are not my real thoughts. My real thoughts are the thoughts I think with God, and I am not aware of them because... Wait a minute. I'm not aware of them because I have made my thoughts to take their place. I am willing to recognize that my thoughts do not mean anything and to let them go. I choose to have them be replaced by what they were intended to replace. My thoughts are meaningless, but all creation lies in the thoughts that I think with God. I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm never upset for the reason I think because I'm constantly trying to justify my thoughts. I'm constantly trying to make them true. I make all things my enemy so that my anger is justified and my attacks are warranted. I have not realized how much I've misused everything I see by assigning this role to it. I've done this to defend a thought system that has hurt me and that I no longer want. I'm willing to let it go. I'm upset because I see what is not there. Reality is never frightening. It is impossible that it could upset me. Reality brings only perfect peace. Reality brings only perfect peace. When I'm upset, it is always because I have replaced reality with the illusions I made up. The illusions are upsetting because I've given them reality and thus regard reality as an illusion. Nothing in God's creation is affected in any way by this confusion of mine. I am always upset by nothing. I see only the past. As I look about, I condemn the world I look upon, and I call this seeing. I hold the past against everyone and everything, making them my enemies. When I've forgiven myself and remembered who I am, I will bless everyone and everything I see. There will be no past, and therefore no enemies. I will look with love on all that I failed to see before. I see only the past. And then we have one more word. God's voice. Yeah, I wanted to add this one to it today. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. There is not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There's not a moment in which His voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, lead my feet where to go. And I'm walking steadily onto a truth. There's nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to His Son. I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by His love. As I open my eyes, His love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, His love reminds me that His Son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision He has given me, I remember that I am His Son. I am sustained by the love of God. As I am listening to God's voice, I am sustained by His love. As I open my eyes, His love lights up the world for me to see. as I forgive, his love reminds me that his Son is sinless. As I look upon the world, with the vision he has given me, I remember that I am his son. All right, it's wonderful, lovely. So that's the little book, like the I'm Sustained by the Love of God. 20-minute book it's called. You can read it in 20 minutes if you're really fast, but for me it takes a bit more time. So today, continuing then with the chapter 5, and yeah, it's like listening to the voice. You know, it comes a lot to us. Like we have to listen to the guidance, listen to the voice, listen to this and that. And it's like, okay, yeah. So now we're going to take a look, say, right underneath all of that. It's like, what then is that, and why is that voice there, and when am I supposed to listen to it, and what is it going to tell me? And how long do I need to listen to that, or how does that work? Well, this is a bit what will be presented today in what we share. And yeah, totally lovely and very helpful. That's what I saw. So I'm going to share some visuals I made. Chapter 5 and then the second section. It is possible, even in this world, to hear only that voice and no other. It is possible, even in this world, to hear only that voice and no other. It takes effort and great willingness to learn. Don't forget, it's like it takes great effort. It takes effort. You gotta do it, you know, you gotta listen to it, and willingness to learn it. So you invite it in continuously. It is the final lesson that I learned, as Jesus says, and God's sons are as equal as learners as they are as souls. It is the final lesson that I learned. The voice of the Holy Spirit is the call to the atonement or the restoration of the integrity of the mind. So the integrity of the mind is an interesting word, of course. It's like, what is that? So the integrity of the mind is then seeing that your mind does not have two voices, even though you can be in the illusion it is like that. It's like there are not two voices. It is just, one is a disturbance. It's not a voice, it's a disturbance. And the other one is a voice directing you, guiding you, showing you. Like, that is the one to listen to. Like the disturbance, you can make out of disturbance, you can make anything out of it. It's like it's chaos. It is not thought. Like thought has a totally different nature. It is not thought. So there are not two voices inside of you. So this is interesting because it is like you can say like, well, sometimes I listen to the voice and sometimes I listen to the chatter in my head, and it's like, yeah. So we saw in a couple of paragraphs before too, it's like there's two things happening here, and that is like the soul, for instance, no, the mind, actually I want to say this, the mind is in its proper place when it's serving, when it's its servant of the soul. Once it takes over itself, like listening to itself, trying to be the navigator and director, it doesn't work. It does not work. And if you want to have proof of that, turn on your television. It's like trusting my human mind, trusting my chatter thoughts. It results in conflict and more attack and self-destruction, in fact. So something like that is not, it creates more chaos. That's a nice analogy, because chaos is like disturbance. It is not, it has no laws. It is going in all directions at the same time. And it doesn't go anywhere, in fact. So listening then to one voice with the one purpose to recognize that that's the only thing that's truly happening in your mind, saves you a lot of chaos and a lot of pain, in fact. So it's like, this is your quickest way home, to start to listen. But it takes effort. You gotta want it. So it's effort and willingness. So continuously, this is basically a huge part of the mind training, is bringing you back to the fact, listen, be still, listen, step back, still, listen, listen. And that's so beautiful in this. It's like, because you get immediate result. So in one situation you are today, you have a choice to follow up on the impulses and on the thoughts that are coming up for you, to defend, to attack, to to ignore, to do all the things that you're, say, kind of used to, and but not any longer. So you have the opportunity to not respond like that, but come to listen instead of responding. Like, you don't need to respond. You listen. When you're inspired to express, it will happen. And so your trust and peace does not have to be disturbed in any kind of way. But like I said, this is about a willingness to grow along these lines that are, say, given to you. It's like, yeah, you got to walk this path, you got to go that way, listen to the voice. No, don't do that, don't do that. Listen, be still, listen, follow. So this instruction is training. It's just a matter of training. So you can do it, but you have to be willing to go for it. See, it is the final lesson that I learned, as Jesus said, and God's sons are as equal as learners as they are as souls. So the voice of the Holy Spirit is the call to atonement and the restoration of the integrity of the mind. You are the kingdom of heaven, but you have let the belief in darkness enter your minds, and so you need a new light. You are the kingdom of heaven, and we love to believe that. We love to be that. We love to be that. As an idea, sure. And the practicality of it, you can in fact exemplify it by being willing to listen. But you have let the belief of darkness enter into your minds, and so you need a new light. Well, the Holy Spirit is the radiance that you must let to banish the ideas of darkness. So the Holy Spirit is the radiance that you must let. You allow that to banish the idea of darkness. Let yourself be inspired. Open yourself up. Become receptive to the light, to the radiance of the Holy Spirit that fills you up and shines away all darkness. Like, this is the invitation. This is the mind training. You're vacating your mind for the light to enter in. His is the glory before which dissociation falls away, and the kingdom of heaven breaks through into its own. His is the glory before which dissociation falls away, and the kingdom of heaven breaks through into its own. Now, that's beautifully put. It's so great. It's like his glory. Before his glory, dissociation falls away. So the dissociation of thinking that there's another voice, thinking that there's another part of you that exists in a separate state or something, falls away. And it is like that. It's like, this is nothing more than what is already truly yours. Like, it is nothing more than that. So the dissociation falls away by remembering the glory of your Father. In that, it just falls away. It's like it disappears, you could say. you literally say disappear into light. So these things you become familiar with. You have these episodes during the day. So suddenly it's like, whoa, wow, I can't believe it. I don't know where this comes from. It just came in. Wow. It's like the continuity of your human construct falls apart. It's dissociating. Suddenly it falls away and you experience light. Like, wow, can't believe it. What has come to me in this moment? Wow, thank you. And then you be about your business again. But there's a moment in which it breaks. You allow that to your world to fall apart just for a moment. So this is what this is about. So you get more and more of that. You receive that whenever it's necessary for you to receive it. Like, yeah, now you open your mind. You literally create a place where that can occur, and whoosh, there's the light. Suddenly it comes into your mind, and it banishes any kind of idea of darkness. I love that. When you remember the light, where is darkness? Like it's gone. It just falls away. That's all. So you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. That's so great too. So we in fact confirm this to one another, and that's in itself is very helpful. It's like we confirm this in each other. It's like, yeah, you know this, but we actually are very happy to know that this came to us and that we can actually remember this. God, this is great. God is not in you, right? God is not in you, but you are part of Him. God is not in you. You are part of Him. When you willed to leave Him, He gave you a voice to speak for Him, because He could no longer share His knowledge with you without hindrance. When you willed to leave Him, He gave you a voice to speak for Him, because He could no longer share His knowledge with you without hindrance. Direct communication was broken because you had made another voice through another will. The Holy Spirit here calls you both to remember and forget. To do both, like to remember and to forget. To forget the so-called other voice and another will. To forget it. Not forgiving it, forgetting it. I go through this one more time. God is not in you. You are part of Him. And one way or another, that is so comforting to hear that. God is not in you. You are part of Him. Like you're completely embedded in God. When you willed to leave Him, He gave you a voice to speak for Him, because He could no longer share His knowledge with you without hindrance. Direct communication was broken because you had made another voice through another will, and the Holy Spirit calls you both to remember and forget. You have chosen to be in a state of opposition in which opposites are possible. As a result, there are choices which you must make. In the holy state, the will is free in the sense that its creative power is unlimited, but choice itself is meaningless. In the holy state, the will is free in the sense that its creative power is unlimited, but choice itself is meaningless. Like it doesn't need to choose anymore, it is that creative power. Freedom to choose is the same power as freedom to create, but its application is different. So we can think of an idea of freedom as a choice, like, no, I don't want to do that. or I want to go there, I want to do this. Like you think that the choice gives you an idea of freedom. Well, in the say in the holy state, as it says here, it's like in the holy state, the same power, like the freedom is what you are, and the freedom to create is the one thing that belongs of that works as one. So this, we come to this always with the ideas of wholeness. Choosing means divided will. So it's like the idea of choice is what division is what two is. Like two in reality does not exist. There's not something and something else. There's not one and the other. It's like, no, totality is whole, and that is, you are that. You know, you are that. So you are freedom that is creating. You know, you are the freedom that is creating. It is not that you, by your choices, get to an experience of freedom. No. But so these things come back to us all the time in this, because in fact, we're trying to describe something with words, a description of something that is what you are. So that's an impossibility. Like if you would hear what it says, you become it. And we've said this before, it's like the words actually become like the words become the portal itself. You step into that, the freedom to create. Like freedom to create is what you are. And that's a matter of contemplating, allowing that to speak to yourself. You know, it's like, yeah, open that up in yourself, like allow that to speak to you. So this is what is happening. So that's why talking about it doesn't make too much sense. We can hear some things about it, but then in the end it is like, yeah, allow this to be your experience. But that means you can only open up for it, because you cannot turn a switch in order to experience it. That's the same as the idea of, say, allowing the light to come into your mind and see that it banishes darkness. Like how would you explain that? No, it is not explainable. The light comes in your mind, and darkness, yeah, is banished from your mind, is gone. Darkness is gone when light comes in. Yeah, you understand that as a polarity, but here it is more like, here's the light, and it's all there is. There's no opposite. There's no other thing. There's no, there's no contrast in it. No, it's the constant state. It's the absolute. So I try my best to express this using everything that I can possibly come up with and that is given me to share. So that's really lovely. The Holy Spirit is one way of choosing. This way is in you because there is also another way. Oh yeah, so the Holy Spirit came into your mind as one way of choosing. This way is so because there's also another way. God did not leave his children comfortless even though they left him. The voice they put in their minds was not the voice of his will, for which the Holy Spirit speaks. So the call to return is stronger than the call to depart, but it speaks in a different way. Okay, so what is being expressed here? The Holy Spirit is one way of choosing. So it's like the... Okay, so step by step, you are being led by listening to the voice. You see, now I get it. It speaks in a different way. We're used to a screaming mind inside your head, so to speak, that tells you, yes, I want that. Yes, this is necessary for me. Yes, I need that. Yes, come on here. Or look at that. So it's always something from the outside to complete yourself, or a need that you perceive with your eyes, a need that you perceive in comparison with someone else, or looking at your situation, you think you need that in order to survive or to sustain yourself. Like it's always gratification. It's always taking something for you. And that's making it, say, the best clear. Now, the Holy Spirit's voice speaks to you in a different way, and it it confirms always. It only brings peace. It confirms. It doesn't need anything. So it's like it cannot perceive a need. That's why it does not need anything. So it confirms to you that God is with you. You're safe. It tells you about the love of God that you are. It brings you the peace that you remember yourself to be. You know, it's like it's a confirmation of what already is. And that makes it totally different. It speaks to you in a silent way because it will never try to control. Well, look at the thoughts that you have in mind that come to you in order for you to control your situation, to make secure, you know, your daily thing, to keep it all together, or to do whatever you do to hold it, to at least not let it fall apart. You try to hold it together. Well, this action of mind is coming from ego, from your mind. You know, this is the one voice that tries to be autonomous and fails at it continuously. But nevertheless, it's not going to give up trying. You know, and the voice from the voice from God is always confirming. It doesn't tell you what to get. It doesn't tell you how to control. It doesn't tell you how to survive. No, there's no need for that. It's the recognition of the totality of you in this moment without any need, but in full glory, like absolute light, beauty, and the kingdom of heaven. That's where it's pointing at or speaking to you about. And it's what it shows you. So that makes it so different. And of course, you have heard this before. That's great too. So the call to return back to where you belong is stronger than the call to depart. But it speaks in a different way. The voice of the Holy Spirit does not command because it is incapable of arrogance. It does not demand because it does not seek control. It does not overcome because it does not attack. Wow, this is so great. The voice of the Holy Spirit does not command because it is incapable of arrogance. It does not demand because it does not seek control. It does not overcome because it does not attack. All the things it doesn't do. Look at that. In comparison with another voice that's very familiar to you, that tries not to be arrogant, that demands and that seeks control, that wants to overcome and wants to attack, but not the voice for the Holy Spirit, not the voice for God, not the voice of the Holy Spirit. It merely reminds. The voice for God is always quiet because it speaks of peace. The voice of God is always quiet because it speaks of peace. It is still, quiet, enters into your mind when there is space. It doesn't force itself into your mind. No. So that's where your free will comes in. It's like, open your mind. You can open your mind so it can speak to you. Because the Holy Spirit will not force itself on you. No, it's always quiet. It speaks of peace. Okay, so here's a biblical reference, and it's from Matthew 16, I think it is. What profiteth a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So what is the reference to what we just shared then? Okay, what profiteth a man if he would gain the whole world? You know, he would gain the whole world. He would try to get the whole world. He would take over the world market. He would try to take over all of it. What would that give him if he loses his soul? Like if he misses what this is all about. What is the profit then? What is the profit? Like we know this, we see examples, we know this. So it's amazing. So how do you manage to do that? Oh yeah, so what is the relationship with the voice then? Well, talking about arrogance and ignorance, that what happens is listening to your mind voice that is loud and needs and wants to control and is arrogant and is doing all these things. Like it wants for itself. It wants for itself like it even a tiny little bit it wants. It is happy, for instance. It is happy because it's not as poor as its neighbor. Or it is happy that it's sick but not as sick as this one. Or, it's like all the comparisons it's made. It tries to benefit by comparing with others. It tries to benefit by thinking itself better off than others. And that part of the mind is, we did that. We lived that. And it's enough. It's like you don't want to keep doing that. It's enough. Yeah, okay, so the final result of it will not be peace. Like it will never be enough anyway. There's always more. There's always more too in thinking that you need or that you want to hold on, more control, more so-called power, more of everything. Like the greed that is one of the fundamental human ways of thinking is not the voice for the Holy Spirit. It has nothing to do with the true essence of your being. So that's why it's like, yeah, you can do that. You're free to do that. So knock yourself out, literally. Like, go for it. But what is it going to do for you? Like, where is the fullness of the, say, remembrance of the direct communication that is taking place in you as a soul? Where has that gone? So where is it? Where do you put your value? Really where it comes down to. So how willing are you to listen to the voice? How willing are you to listen to a voice that only helps you to remind the truth about you and nothing else? So it never controls, it never commands, it's always voluntarily entering into your mind by your decision. So these are essentials in this. Okay, so this means that if he listens to the wrong voice, he has lost sight of his soul. He cannot lose it, but he cannot know it. It is therefore lost to him until he chooses right. The Holy Spirit is your guide in choosing. So that makes it easy, right? So one clear instructor that you can ask. The voice for God comes from your own altars to Him. These altars are not things, they are devotions. I love that too. So the voice for God comes from your own altars to Him. These altars are not things, they are devotions. So your devotion, where are you devoted to, would be the question. Like, where are you devoted to? Where are you devoting yourself to? To an idol? To someone that you think is so great to devote yourself to? Or are you devoting to your true essence of being, to the remembrance of your true essence of being? Like, that would be the possibility for hearing the voice calling you back home, and let it remind you that that you are at home. Okay, so this was the part that I love to share. It's like, what profiteth a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Like, no, you don't want that to happen. So this means that if he listens to the wrong voice, he has lost sight of his soul. He cannot lose it, but he cannot know it. Therefore it's lost to him until he chooses right. The Holy Spirit is your guide in choosing. The voice for God comes from your own altars to Him. These altars are not things, they are devotions. So the devotions are then of the question that belongs to that, and what is it that you are devoted to? So you can say, like, you get the result of your own devotion. Like, you're devoted to whatever you are devoted to, but that brings to you an immediate result. Are you at peace? Are you feeling, say, an expansion in your mind of the love of God? Are you coming to a deep sense of peace? Or are you devoted to something else? Like, yeah, that's temporarily, it appears to be a possibility. Now, until, here it says, like, until you choose right, right in the sense, like, in fact, you say, like, there's no choice. My will is yours. Like, God's will is mine. In other words, I decide to listen. I decide to listen and follow the guidance that is given me. In any way, I can do that. It's like I can just ask for help. That's the only thing I need to do. And then be still and listen and follow the guidance. And the guidance is the remembrance of stillness, of peace, the remembrance that I'm surrounded by the love of God. You know, like it said here. That's great to read it once more. I'm sustained by the love of God. I'm surrounded by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by His love. As I open my eyes, His love lights up the world for me to see. It banishes darkness. As I forgive, His love reminds me that His Son is sinless. As I look upon the world with the vision He has given me, with Christ's vision, I remember I am His Son. So it's like this is what the Holy Spirit is confirming in you, is helping you to remind yourself. As I do that, then I'm peace. I'm living in the awareness that I'm a son of God, that there's no separation, that I'm an extension of that love, and that I'm the love itself. So that is so great. I love that. I love that. So thank you so much for listening to that so far. So the one thing I'd love to do always is say, choose one of these, or choose, maybe listen to which one is it going to be today. Lesson 254. Let every voice but God's be still in me. Father, 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 today I would but hear your voice. In deepest silence, I would come to you. To hear your voice. And to receive your word. So here's an expression of my devotion. I have no prayer but this. I come to you to ask you for the truth. And here's Spirit reminding us. And truth is but your will, which I would share with you today. Father, today I would hear your voice. In deepest silence, I would come to you. To hear your voice and to receive your word. I've no prayer but this. I come to you to ask you for the truth. And truth is but your will, which I would share with you today. Today, we let no ego thoughts direct our words or actions. When such thoughts occur, instruction, when such thoughts occur, we quietly step back and look at them and let them go. We do not want what they would bring with them, and so we do not choose to keep them. They are silent now. And in the stillness, hallowed by His love, God speaks to us and tells us of our will, as we have chosen to remember Him. And in the stillness, hallowed by His love, God speaks to us and tells us of our will, as we have chosen to remember Him. Let every voice but God's be still in me. Thank you so much. So this is so fresh and new. I love it. It's like, I want to dive deeply into that stillness, into the deepest stillness to experience that. So are you coming with me? Are you joining with me in that? That would be so great. So thank you so much for your presence, and thank you for listening and being present in this. Thank you so much.